Let's talk about being prepared. Aren't you ready for life to get back to normal? I know I am, but there's one thing none of us can afford to ignore. Another crisis can happen at any time without warning. But this time you can have peace of mind knowing you're prepared in advance for whatever happens. So ask yourself, do you have enough food, water, emergency supplies to get through the next time? If not, you need to check out My Patriot Supply. They're America's leading preparedness company, and they'll help you become happily self-reliant. Their mission is your survival. Their food is delicious too and stays fresh up to 25 years, so it'll be there when you need it. You won't have to worry if something bad happens. You'll be well prepared. Order today and your food will be delivered in 2 to 3 days. Go to preparewithx22.com right now and do what you know you need to do. That's preparewithx22.com. Let's talk about investing. Now, are you saving for retirement or just treading water? Are you depending on stocks or mutual funds? When diversifying what you really need to boost your funds, did you know it's easy to move out of an old 401k into precious metals like gold? And that's predicted to go up to about $2,500 an ounce soon. This could be the answer for you, so call the team at Noble Gold. Do it this month and they'll gift you a free 22-karat American Eagle coin. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 2473, and today's date is May 9th, 2021, and the title of the episode is Never Give Up. The moment of truth is coming. The news is fake. The panic is real. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, the deep state, the private Western central bank, the fake news, the corrupt politicians, they are trapped in what Trump has set up. Think about when Trump was reversing all the regulations, cutting the taxes, allowing businesses to prosper, placing tariffs on other countries, giving that money to farmers. Think about that entire process. It showed the American people that the economy can do a lot better than what all these corrupt politicians have been telling us. And the economy did do better, and it was within a central bank illusion. Can you imagine what the economy would do if we were outside of the central bank illusion? The economy would flourish like we've never seen before. The economy would just take off. Now, Trump, by doing everything that he did, by placing tariffs on certain countries, renegotiating the trade deals, reversing regulations, cutting taxes, what did he do? He set up the deep state, the private Western central bank, because they have to reverse everything as fast as possible. And as they're doing this, and they're putting into place their agenda, the economy is going to start to fall apart. Trump, the Patriots, they knew that this was going to happen. They knew that once Biden came in and the puppet masters took control, people would see the truth. Remember, their plan was to do what? It was to give everyone helicopter money, keep them at home, keep the entire country shut down, keep the world shut down, and have the economy implode. Now, Trump, he opened up the country during the pandemic. They're trying to use the same agenda, and they're trying to counter what Trump did. But if the economy is opening up and people are going back to work and businesses are opening up and people are going back to school and everything's going back to the way it was, will the private Western central bank's plan work? No. They're still trying to pay everyone to stay home. What does that do? It hurts the economy. It starts to bring the economy down. And the unemployment numbers start to move up. Think about that for a second. This is going to be a direct reflection on the Biden administration because Trump showed the country what he could do. Trump showed that he could take a system where Obama said, get used to the new normal, and he was able to build it back up from there and make it spring forward. Then we had the pandemic. But Trump, he started to open up the country, and we saw a V recovery. People said, whoa, wait a minute. They told us there's going to be a recession, we're going to be crashing, and then all of a sudden, everything started to bounce back. The economists, they couldn't make sense of this. And now here we are. We're in 100 days plus since Biden came in, and everything's starting to fall apart. And what's very interesting is that Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo claimed that the unemployment benefits in the American Rescue Plan, they're not the reason for the United States poor jobs report. She said there's nothing in the data which would suggest that unemployment insurance is the reason people are out of work. Now, she was being interviewed by Dickerson. Dickerson pushed back, noting that Montana, South Carolina, declined the unemployment benefits due to concerns about how they would impact jobs and economic growth. And a lot of people think this is an impediment to getting people back to work. He says there is some evidence of this. Now we're going to see a lot more evidence of this in Florida, because in Florida, you're going to see people who are going to have to prove that they're job hunting. So which means people are not just going to sit there and say, I just can collect unemployment. They're going to have to go and find a job, or going to have to show that they're looking for a job. This is going to change the game. Actually, if you look at Florida and you look at what has been happening, it seems that the Patriots, they're using Florida as their model for almost everything. If you want a country to do what you want it to do, just look at Florida. You want no mask mandates? Look at Florida. You want strict voting laws? Look at Florida. You want laws against BLM and Antifa? Look at Florida. You want a booming economy? Open up Florida. Show everyone that people can go back to work. Now, let's see what happens when you remove the unemployment insurance and you go back to the model before the pandemic, and people have to prove that they're looking for a job. You're going to see something very, very different. Now, once Dickerson said this, Gina Raimondo, she had a backtrack on it, saying, okay, there is some evidence of this, and yeah, maybe we need to look at this. And yes, this is showing everyone that what the central bankers had planned this entire time with their helicopter money, because that's what it is, universal basic income, helicopter money, you can call it whatever you want. Their plan was to pay everyone to stay home. And you can see how this is now going to affect the economy. Actually, from this point on, we're most likely going to see the economy start to falter. Now, do I mean it's going to crash? No, but you're going to start to see things start to fall apart. Because remember, this was the private Western central bank's plan, the elite's plan, the World Economic Forum's plan, and we're going to see this happen. Why do you think a lot of the wealthy people are out there trying to scramble to hide their money or get out of the market right now? We'll be talking about that in just a sec. But what's very interesting is that the Federalist, they put out an interesting article about Biden. And of course, Joe Biden was out there saying, listen, everyone has to pay their fair share in taxes, and we have to tax the wealthy because, they can get around certain things. Well, the Federalist put this out, saying that upon leaving the vice presidency, the Bidens exploited a potentially illegal tax loophole that saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars in payroll taxes. Between 2017 and 2019, the Bidens claimed $13.5 million made from speeches and book sales as corporate profits rather than income. Now remember, book sales, speeches, it's a way to launder money, to get paid off for certain things. And what they did was they used this loophole, this illegal loophole, so they didn't have to pay taxes. So everything that Biden was talking about, it seems that he's doing. He's the one who's not paying the taxes. And it seems very similar to those politicians that say, you know something, we need laws to go after pedophilias when they're a pedophile themselves. It always seems to be that way. Now, like I said before, the wealthy, they're taking precautions because I do believe they know exactly what is coming. And Red Pill Pharmacist has put this out on We the Media. And it says Jeff Bezos divorced, Elon Musk divorced, Bernard Arnault divorced, Bill Gates divorced, Mark Zuckerberg. Now, if Mark Zuckerberg makes the announcement that he's getting divorced, we know we're totally on the right track, that they're preparing for the entire system coming down. We'll have to see what happens, and we'll see if it comes true. Now, what's very interesting is we're starting to see crypto start to move up. Bitcoin is moving up. We're starting to see gold starting to move up. Ever since Yellen came out and made her announcement about interest rates moving up to combat the economy from overheating, people are starting to question the economy. When people saw the jobs data, they're questioning the economy. And what's very interesting is that Curtis Hook put this out and says, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, I would note that the jobs report is a little bit stronger than the headline numbers might suggest on the hiring front. And he said, what? And then we have Tim Young, who responded to him saying, these people think Americans are stupid. People, they understand what is happening. Actually, more and more people are waking up now than ever before, especially with the economy, especially those people that have small businesses, especially those people who are looking at the entire situation and they're seeing that everything that they're trying to put into place with all this spending, the taxes, with raising the interest rates and everything else, it's not going to benefit the economy. And those people, they are seeing it very, very clearly right now. Remember, we all have the same thing in common, the economy. We all want to make a living. We don't want to pay more taxes. And when you start chipping away at the money that's coming in, people really take notice, and that's what they're seeing right now. Now, what's very interesting is that cryptocurrency, the crypto market, that has now surpassed the United States dollar in circulation for the first time. Now, this just doesn't mean it's Bitcoin, it's cryptocurrencies altogether. So that's very interesting right there. And I do believe as time goes on and we see cryptos move up, we see gold move up, and I think it just went over $1,800 now an ounce. I do believe people are going to start to take notice. And I do believe that crypto is an easy way for people to move their funds at a moment's notice compared to gold. Because if you try to go out and get gold, physical gold, I'm not talking about the paper market, it'd be very, very difficult for people to do this, especially when the economy is crashing and the fiat currency is imploding. But for people to push a button and to get cryptocurrency, I do believe this will be a little bit easier. I think there'll be a time will be very, very difficult, but it'll be a lot easier than physical metal. I do believe that physical metal, whoever has it, which I believe people should be acquiring it. It's my personal opinion. I do believe this is going to be a store of wealth. I think people are going to take notice when gold starts to move up very, very quickly and crypto is moving up. So if crypto is hitting 60, 70, 80, yes, people are going to be taking notice. But when gold starts to follow and it hits 5,000, 10,000, people are going to say, okay, now I see things very, very differently. I see what's going on with the economy. I see what's happening with the U.S. economy. I see what's happening out in the world. Because remember, the private Western Central Bank, their plan is to bring down their system now, to introduce their new system. Their new system is called the Great Reset. They told us what it was. Yes, years ago it was a gigantic conspiracy. There's no such thing as a reset. But now Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum told everyone, yes, we want to go into this new system and we want to use a central bank digital currency. They're trying to compete against cryptocurrency. But I do believe people are very smart today. I do believe that people understand what's going on. And as the word gets out and the people start to realize what's happening, why would you want to switch into a central bank system that's imploding into another central bank system when you can move into a system that has nothing to do with the private West Central Bank? And it's free, it's open, no one is controlling it, it's not centralized. People might not like crypto. They might go into physical gold and silver. But once again, that does have limitations. I do believe both work together very, very nicely to combat the private Western Central Bank system. And I believe the private Western Central Bank, they took the bait. They're moving forward with their plan. Trump countered their plan. Now their plan is not going as smoothly as they thought it was going to go. What is happening right now is that people can actually see what is really happening. The central bank right now is completely exposed to the world. There's no cover story. There's no destruction. There's nothing like that. And you can see it every single day, especially with gold and crypto moving up. And as this continues, more and more people are going to wake up. More and more people are just going to ask that simple question. Why is crypto going up? Why is gold going up? Why do I hear talk about gold and cryptocurrency? And once they ask that question and somebody answers them, it begins. And I do believe there's going to be a lot more people getting into this market. Like I said before, if the people decide to switch today, the central bank system is done. We finally have a way to destroy the private Western Central Bank with a push of a button. Let's talk about our health. A new study released by the CDC reports that 49.1% of adults in the U.S. are obese. Typical recommendations for weight loss are to stay physically active, count calories, and cut out carbs. But if these recommendations work, then nobody would be overweight. The issue with these so-called solutions is that they don't get to the heart of the problem. This is why you need to use keto with x22.com. It is the quickest way I know to lose some weight. It works in a similar fashion to how the popular keto diet works. It melts fat, tones your muscles, and reduces cravings. So I recommend keto with x22.com. Try it today for 51% off by going to keto with x22.com. That is keto with x22.com. Let's talk about being prepared. Aren't you ready for life to get back to normal? I know I am, but there's one thing none of us can afford to ignore. Another crisis can happen at any time without warning. But this time you can have peace of mind knowing you're prepared in advance for whatever happens. So ask yourself, do you have enough food, water, emergency supplies to get through the next time? If not, you need to check out My Patriot Supply. They're America's leading preparedness company, and they'll help you become happily self-reliant. Their mission is your survival. Their food is delicious too and stays fresh up to 25 years, so it'll be there when you need it. You won't have to worry if something bad happens. You'll be well prepared. Order today and your food will be delivered in 2 to 3 days. Go to preparewithx22.com right now and do what you know you need to do. That's preparewithx22.com. Now, the deep state, the mainstream media, the fake news, the corrupt politicians, they're panicking like we've never seen before. Yes, they're pushing out their news. The news is fake, but their panic, that is real. Why are they panicking? Because they know once the truth gets out into the public realm, once the facts get out into the public realm, this entire agenda that they have starts to fall apart. Remember, Trump took 4 years, and even past 4 years, of waking we the people up. I think more people are waking up now than ever before. Especially those people that, yes, they believed in Trump, or they thought something was wrong, or, yes, I just don't like Trump and I just want to vote for Biden. These individuals, they're starting to realize that there's problems. And they're starting to realize that the country is headed in the wrong direction. Now, does this mean 100% of the people? No. But a lot more people than you would ever imagine, they're starting to wake up. And yes, sometimes they're very, very quiet. Sometimes they like to tell you everything that they've just learned because it's new to them. And this is just the beginning. And this is what the mainstream media, the fake news, the deep state, this is what they're so afraid of. They're afraid of everyone waking up and then seeing the truth. Because once you're awake and you see the truth that the elections were manipulated, that Biden cheated, not just Biden, but there's many other actors involved in this, you start to put everything together. And this is what they're so afraid of. Because a population that has woken up, a population that can see through the propaganda, is a population that you cannot control. And if you cannot control the population, all the propaganda that you put out there, everything the fake news tries to do, does not work. What happens when the population no longer believes the fake news? I'm talking about the mainstream media. No longer believes the fact checkers. No longer believes the little labels that the social media companies put on their posts. What happens when the population no longer believes? Can you control the population anymore? Or do the people say, this is fake? So, can you control them by pushing out more propaganda? No. So what do you have to do? What's their next step? Their next step is to shut everyone down. Actually, we're seeing that right now. They have been censoring. And yes, people say, well, there's a private company. They can do whatever they want. Well, if you read Section 230, no, they really can't. Section 230 is actually pretty clear. They can't edit their platforms or they become a publisher. But it even goes much, much further than that. Because if the governments in different states and the federal government, if they have a hotline to these social media platforms, which we're finding out, one in Michigan and California, I'm sure there's plenty others, and government officials are telling these social media platforms to shut people down, this goes beyond Section 230. This is now a violation of the Constitution because now a government official is telling people to do this. Now, I do believe when the truth and the facts start to come out, they're going to have no alternative but to do this, to shut everyone down. Now, when this information comes out, when they shut people down, when they black out people, this is when people wake up. It's almost like book burning. When you burn the books, does that stop people trying to find those books? Does that stop people trying to read what you're burning? No. It actually makes people more curious. They want to know more. Why won't you let me see this? Why won't you let me read this? And this is what's going to happen in the end. They're going to have to deal with the public, with the American people. And the American people are going to push back like we've never seen before. We're at a crossroads right now. And soon, we're going to see the people take action, especially when the election fraud information starts to come out. Remember, going way, way back, Pompeo said it. I do believe Trump indicated this, that the Constitution was the only way forward. And if you look at what Trump has been saying from the desk of Trump, he's been saying that they violated the Constitution. Go back during the election and then right after the election when we talked about how the Constitution is the only way forward. All the laws that they implemented in these states, they violated the Constitution. Doesn't matter if there's a pandemic. The Constitution is not controlled by a pandemic. This is what they wanted to make everyone believe. They violated the Constitution because the laws can only be created by the legislature. And since the legislature didn't create these laws, this election, the 2020 election, is actually null and void. And yes, the Constitution will be the way forward. Will it be because of the Supreme Court? No, it's because we, the people, we are the Constitution. We gave this document to the government and said, we, the people, said you must follow this. And if you don't, we, the people, will remove you. What do you think is happening in Texas and Utah with the school boards? The people said, listen, we put you into power here. You're supposed to be working for us. You're supposed to be doing what the parents want, not what Soros wants, not what this invisible enemy wants, not what this person wants. You're supposed to be doing what we say. And if the community says, we don't want critical race theory, then you can't implement it in our schools because we don't want it. The founding fathers are very smart. They left the federal government out of the inner workings of different states, communities, towns. They wanted the people to decide on a local level, not from the top down, from the bottom up. And they knew that, listen, if you're in a tight community and you want to teach your kids a certain way, who knows the best way to teach them? The parents. Because the parents, they're the ones who care. The federal government doesn't care. Actually, they always have an agenda. And they knew this. They were very, very smart. So we're going to see, we the people, push back when this information starts to come out. Yes, it will be chaotic. Don't expect the information's going to come out and CNN, MSNBC, they're just going to say, yes, there was election fraud. And you know what? We need to change things. No, they're going to fight until the very end. Actually, sometimes you might have to search for some information. You might have to go to different places. You might have to tell your friends, your relatives, there was election fraud. I don't believe you. Really? Take a look at this. They just produced it. Oh, and here's another state, and here's another state. Actually, word of mouth is very, very powerful. Actually, word of mouth on other platforms that the deep state doesn't control, very, very powerful. But in the end, the word will get out. We'll be talking about the election and everything and all the comms a little bit later in this report. But first, I wanted to talk about Gretchen Whitmer, because remember, she was accused of taking a private jet down to Florida. And it seems that this is coming back to haunt her. And I think there's going to be a lot of things coming back to haunt her. But she used this private plane to take a multi-day trip to Florida. And remember, other politicians were indicted for similar circumstances. And it turns out that the businessmen have a major dealing in and with the state of Michigan. Now, flight records show a jet owned by Air Eagle, LLC, took Whitmer from Lansing on March 12th to Palm Beach and returned her on March 15th. According to LaDuff, Whitmer's office did not notify Florida law enforcement of her presence in the state, which he described as a customary security protocol. And according to the Detroit News, Air Legal, LLC is owned by the Nicholson family of PVS Chemicals, the Maroon family of the trucking company Central Transport, and the Cotton family, which is formerly ran Meridian Health. Very interesting. And we're in a pandemic, and they handle the health industry. Very interesting. This is going to all come back to haunt her. It's actually starting to haunt other politicians. Doesn't matter what side you're on. Mitt Romney, he was censored by Weber County Republicans. The Weber County Republican Party voted whether or not to censure Mitt Romney, and they voted. It passed 116 to 97. Very interesting. Out in New York, we have Andrew Cuomo. Well, it seems another individual decided to resign. Peter Ajmian, the communication director for New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, he resigned. He just added to the list of growing departures from the governor's office. They're all leaving. Why? Because they know what's going to happen. Remember, he threw sick people into nursing home. He gave the order, kill the people in the nursing home. Trump brought a ship right into New York Harbor. Said, listen, we have all these beds. He brought the Army Corps of Engineers to New York to build makeshift hospitals? Why did they push sick people into the nursing homes? Why did 5 governors out of 50 do this? Because they wanted the death toll up. They wanted to scare the people. Now, it's very interesting, and Dan Scavino put this out. Nancy Pelosi put up a picture of a Mets player, and she shared it with everyone. But the problem is, she put up the wrong picture. It wasn't Willie Mays. She put it up to honor him, and she completely put up the wrong black player in a botched attempt to honor Willie Mays. This pretty much tells you everything you need to know right there. And the other thing that's happening is Kamala Harris, she's still not going down to the border. She's the border czar. But she did have a meeting with Mexican President Obrador. Now remember, Trump and Obrador, they had a very good relationship. Actually, the Mexican president, well, he helped Trump with border security. And it seems that the Mexican president is accusing the Biden administration of orchestrating a coup against his administration. It seems that both of them, they were having a meeting, and she just got up and walked away because she had other business. That is very interesting. And it seems they don't want to deal with Mexico. They don't want border security because their agenda is completely different. And we see also that DHS reversed Trump's era DNA collection plan for immigration vetting, such as verifying family relationships. So they got rid of checking the DNA between the child and the parent to make sure that, yes, this is your parent. They got rid of it, and now they're just going to believe what these people say. Well, if we have the technology, why don't we use it just to check to make sure? Because how do we know that these people are actually relatives? They're parents. What happens if they're human traffickers, child traffickers, which most likely they are? Now, it seems that since Twitter has been purging many, many people like Trump, or those people that pass around his statements from his desk, because those people are also banned, people are complaining that all of a sudden they're losing thousands and thousands of followers on Twitters. We have Brian Kilmeade saying, so I have actually lost 30,000 followers in 4 hours. Is this even possible? Terrence K. Williams said, I lost 100,000 followers. RT, if you have lost people too. Omar Navarro said, lawyer up, mother effers. I'm suing Twitter. Dave Rubin said, I've lost over 35,000 followers on this authoritarian shitscape in the last 48 hours. And this goes on and on and on, where people are saying, yes, I'm losing thousands upon thousands of people because Twitter right now is banning anyone that puts anything out that has to do with Trump and from the desk of Trump. Or if you mention election fraud, if you mention anything against the CDC, vaccines, if you mention the WHO, if you mention anything against their narrative, they're just banning you. Remember, this is complete and utter communications blackout. And this is just the beginning stages, because what happens when the facts come out against election fraud? Let's talk about investing. Now, are you saving for retirement or just treading water? Are you depending on stocks or mutual funds? When diversifying what you really need to boost your funds, did you know it's easy to move out of an old 401k into precious metals like gold? And that's predicted to go up to about $2,500 an ounce soon. This could be the answer for you. So call the team at Noble Gold. Do it this month, and they'll gift you a free 22-karat American Eagle coin. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Let's talk about protecting your wealth. So you don't get the chance to buy sunken treasure every day, do you? Noble Gold has secured some of the original 20 Liberty coins found in the wreck carried up from the SS Central America on the seabed. The fabled ship of gold sank in 1857 along with 10 tons of California gold rush treasure. Imagine you can have a chunk of this exclusive time capsule from the depths yourself now. Call Noble Gold at 877-646-5347 to reserve your treasure. That's 877-646-5347. You think just a couple thousand people are going to be banned? Or do you think you're going to see a total and a complete communication blackout? Think about it. When people said election fraud during the election, right after the election, they started banning people. Now, it's going to be something like we've never, ever seen before. But plan on it. It's coming. And remember, when that does come, if you're following me on any other platforms like maybe Parler or Rumble or Gab, and something should happen to these platforms where they try to block it because of the IP addresses or anything like that. Because remember, wherever the crowd is, that's what they're going to try to take down. Just like they took down Parler because everyone was moving from Twitter to Parler and they were receiving a lot of people. So if you see these platforms go down, always come to the x22report.com. Remember, the X22 Report is not on YouTube, not on Twitter, not on Instagram, not on Facebook. If you want to know where X22 is, just come to x22report.com, use the menu Everything X22, look for official accounts, and you can find out where X22 is. So just keep that in the back of your head, or you can sign up to the email. It's completely free. I email you when an episode comes out, but if something does happen, I can email you letting you know what is going on. So if you want to do that, you can do that. If not, that's okay too. Now, what's very interesting is that Fauci is out there and he's saying that, listen, we might have to be wearing masks every season now. Even if we beat COVID, I think people are going to have to start wearing masks during the flu season. Now, why do they want to do this? It's about control. That's it. We know that masks don't work, but they don't. Once they have this type of control, they never want to give it up. Now, what's very interesting is that we know that the China virus came from the Wuhan laboratory, and there's more and more publications putting out that, yes, this is where it originated. Actually, Mike Pompeo, Trump, they all said it came from China. You don't think they have the evidence? Of course they do. They have it all. But we see that the Biden administration, he's saying that they're going to rely on China and the WHO to do the proper investigation. Well, they're the ones who are behind it. It's like letting a criminal investigate themselves on the crime. What are they going to turn up? Nothing. Why do you think the WHO, China, came up with nothing? Because they're the criminals. You can't have the criminals do the investigation. It doesn't work. But that's what China wants to do. And what's very interesting, coming out of the Daily Mail, we have an article from these leaked documents, and it says China was preparing for a third world war with biological weapons, including coronavirus, 6 years ago. Now, this is according to the dossier that was produced by the People's Liberation Army in 2015. And it was just uncovered by the U.S. State Department. Do you really think this information is just being pushed out by accident during Biden's administration? No, there are no coincidences. It's letting everyone know that this was a planned attack by the invisible enemy. This is what they used. And we'll be talking about the other type of attack, which I do believe they were trying to use, and that has to do with the Chinese rocket that is crashing to Earth. But before we get to all of that, Jovan Pulitzer put something out that's very interesting, and it really tells the entire story about this entire pandemic. This is a news article, and this is from the Nuremberg trial of 1945. Hermann Göring was asked a question. How do you convince the German people to accept all of this? He replied, it was easy, and it has nothing to do with Nazism. The only thing a government needs to turn people into slaves is fear. If you can find something to scare them, you can make them do anything you want. Think about the pandemic today. Think about how much control the deep state has, telling people, get your vaccine, wear your masks. But what happens is, over time, when people start to do more research, people start to talk, the fear starts to go away. People stop fearing all of this, and they start to push back. This is why we're seeing the pushback in the school systems. This is just going to spread. Remember, people are reaching the precipice of destruction. This is why the Nazis couldn't keep the fear up. They tried, but more and more people were waking up during this period of time. More and more people were fighting back. And in the end, when everyone thought everything was lost, that there's no way to beat the Nazi machine, well, they were beaten. In the end, the people around the world came together to beat them. But we can see that this same organization, they're still trying to push their same agenda. Remember, all they did was flip the script. They take a race that was beaten down, which they made sure they were beaten down over many, many years, convincing them that they've been beating down, and they switch them and say, this is the other race that's been doing this. This is what they did in Germany. There's no difference. Plus, they teach the young that theory. And when you're hearing it over and over and over again in school, at work, people start to believe it. It's a form of brainwashing. And Christopher Rufo put this out on Twitter. Scoop: the Walt Disney Corporation claims that America was founded on systematic racism, encourages employees to complete a white privilege checklist, and separates minorities into racially segregated affinity groups. I have obtained internal documents that will shock you. According to a trove of whistleblower materials, Disney has launched a diversity and inclusion program called Reimagine Tomorrow, which includes training on systematic racism, white privilege, white fragility, white saviors, microaggressions, and anti-racism. Disney claims that America has a long history of systematic racism and transphobia and tells employees they must take ownership of educating yourself about structural anti-black racism and not rely on your black colleagues to educate you, which is emotionally taxing. White employees are told, work through feelings of guilt, shame, and defensiveness to understand what is beneath them and what needs to be healed. They must listen with empathy to black colleagues and not question or debate black colleagues' lived experience. Disney tells employees they should reject equality or equal treatment and instead strive for equity or the equality of outcome. They must reflect on America's racist infrastructure and think carefully about whether or not their wealth is derived from racism. Think about what they're doing right now. They're turning one race against another. This is what they did in Germany. It's the same exact formula, the same playbook. Now, what's very interesting is that The Who's Roger Daltrey and many other individuals, they're now speaking out about this woke generation. And this is what he said. And he's not the only one. There's many others. DJ Zane Lowe, we have Barbara O'Reilly, and many others. He says, it's just getting harder to disseminate the truth. It's almost like now we should turn the whole thing off, go back to newsprint, go back to word of mouth, and start to read books again. It's becoming so absurd now with AI, all the tricks it can do, and the woke generation. It's terrifying. The miserable world they're going to create for themselves. I mean, anyone who's lived a life and you see what they're doing, you just know that it's a route to nowhere, especially when you've lived through the periods of life that we've had the privilege to. We had the golden era. There's no doubt about that. Daltrey compared the woke generation with previous generations. So he is out there now, and many others are saying, yeah, this is not right. People are starting to see this. And when you start to speak to other individuals, you're starting to realize that, yeah, a lot of people are not agreeing with this. Just look at Coke. When they tried to push their agenda, how did the people respond? The people responded in a completely different way that they expected. Sales dropped dramatically. They never expected this. Think about the NFL. Think about Major League Baseball. The viewership is declining. Think about the Academy Awards. Did the viewership go up? No, because they're putting out these messages and it's dropping like a rock because the people are not agreeing. Now, what's very interesting with this whole thing that's going on in Maricopa County, the deep state, they're trying to stop this and stop it as fast as they possibly can. They're pushing all their assets out to try to stop the information from coming out. And we've come to find out that Hannah 𝐔𝐩𝐽, this is the daughter of Biden's chief of staff, Ron 𝐔𝐲. She signed the document going to the Department of Justice on behalf of the Brennan Center for Justice. So the chief of staff, Ron 𝐔𝐲, his daughter, signed the letter urging the Justice Department to deploy federal monitors to monitor the Arizona State Senate audit of 2020. I mean, that means the Biden administration is getting involved. And here we go. Why are they getting involved? Because they know they cheated. They know if this information gets out, it's game over. Now, what's very interesting is that the individual, Kelly Dixon, she wrote an email, and the Arizona Audit live feeds put this out on Telegram, has a picture of the letter, and it says, "We need to use markers on Election Day." That's coming from Kelly Dixon, Assistant Director for Recruitment and Training at the Maricopa County Elections. Sharpies marked ballots are sent to adjudication, as reported by voters. So what happens? The machines, they have a very difficult time reading the Sharpies. What does it mean to adjudicate? That means they will try to figure out what the voter wants, and then they'll make the decision. So in Maricopa County has an adjudication rate of greater than 1 in 10, an error rate of greater than 11%, which means they can alter the votes. Because if you're using Sharpies, this is a way of cheating, because they know that this is going to be spit back out, and the person sitting there is going to say, okay, let me figure out what this person wants. Even though it shows that they wanted this person, we're going to put Biden. And that's why they wanted Sharpies. Now, the other thing that's very interesting, and this is also coming from the Arizona Audit live feeds, let's talk about our health. Collagen product sales are spiking in for good reason. Collagen is revered for giving skin its strength, elasticity, along with its power to reduce wrinkles. This isn't just hearsay. There's thousands of studies to back up these claims. However, typical collagen supplements you'll find on the store shelves usually don't work because they're filled with cheap or low-quality collagen, sometimes harmful ingredients, which leaves users unsatisfied when they don't see results. This is why you need to use multi-collagen. This collagen is a solution for aging that America is going crazy for. It's the best anti-aging solution on the market with the highest quality collagen blends our bodies need to look and feel younger. I recommend healthwithx22.com. Try it for 51% off by going to healthwithx22.com. They want an investigation into Arizona Secretary of State Katie Hobbs. Now, Katie Hobbs and Sheriff Penzone are doing everything they can to halt the Maricopa County audit. Both are funded by Soros to get into office, and Katie Hobbs was funded by a foreign government. Now, think about that for a second, because according to the Federal Election Commission website, campaigns may not solicit or accept contributions from foreign nationals. Federal law prohibits contributions, donations, expenditures, and disbursements solicited, directed, received, or made directly or indirectly by or from foreign nationals in connection with any election, federal, state, or local. A foreign national specifically concerns foreign governments. So they're saying she needs to be investigated right now. And I do believe she needs to be investigated. So they were funded by Soros. Very interesting. Not really surprised that he's behind all of this. I think we already knew this. Now, it seems that Maricopa County, they are not happy with what is going on with the passwords, with the routers, and things like that. So Senate Attorney Corey Langhofer emailed Maricopa County Attorney yesterday morning. And it says, we've been asked to relay that the Senate views the county's explanation on the router and password issue as inadequate and potentially incorrect. Unless the Senate receives the materials today, they will issue subpoenas on Monday for live testimony from Mr. Jarrett and each of the supervisors personally, so that their positions and rationales can be better explained under oath. The date and time and location of the hearing will be provided in the subpoenas, of course. So here they are. They are now trapped, and under oath, they're going to have to explain why they don't want to hand this over. So why don't you think they want to hand over the routers? What do you think is on the routers? Because it's going to show most likely that these routers, they most likely allowed someone to intercept the data. And they don't want people to see the logs. They don't want people to see the information. There's only one reason you don't want to hand something over. It's when you're hiding something. If you have nothing to hide, you say, here, take the routers. I don't know. But they must know that this is where they gained access, because most likely they gave them access to these routers. And they said, okay, use this point of entry. Now, what's very interesting is that there was the Kentucky Derby, and we come to find out in the Kentucky Derby, and you'll see why this is all making sense here, that the winner, Medina Spirit, that horse tested positive for drugs. And this was just revealed. So this horse that won, they did a post-race drug test, and it had drugs in its system. Trump responded to this and said, so now even our Kentucky Derby winner, Medina Spirit, is a junkie. This is emblematic of what is happening to our country. The whole world is laughing at us as we go to hell on our borders, our fake presidential election, and everywhere else. So it seems that there was cheating in the Kentucky Derby, just like there was cheating in the elections. Now, General Flynn, he put out a message on Telegram, and yes, he does have an official account on Telegram. It's Real Gen Flynn on Telegram. He confirmed it on CloutHub, and he put this out there. And he says, our nation stands at the crossroads of history, and we have faced a very serious decision point in the life of our nation, the United States of America. If we, the people, don't step up and place demands on all our elected officials to discover the truth of this last election, November 3rd, 2020, we may never have another free and fair election for any elected office again. This is not a political party issue. This is an American issue. Free and fair elections represent the essence of democracy, and many thousands of Americans have fought and died for us all to be free and able to vote as equals, one person, one vote. All of us in living legally in the United States of America are created equal in the eyes of God. And he's absolutely right. This has nothing to do with Republican, Democrat, Independent. Doesn't have anything to do with that. If there's a body of people that are taking away our voice and they're making the decision on who our leaders are, everyone should be angry. Yes, it might have been in your favor this time, but next time it might not. And would you like another party making the decision for you? No. And this is why everyone should be angry. And this is a crossroads. This is why when everyone's saying, oh, 2024, how can we get to 2024? How could Trump say, yes, I'm going to run in 2024 if we don't fix the problem, if we don't destroy the system? Because if the system is intact, 2024 is meaningless. They'll just do the same thing again. And they'll censor, they'll cheat, and this will go on forever. Right now, at this moment, this is the most important time. This is the crossroads. Will the people stand up when they hear there was cheating, there was fraud? Will they demand justice? Will they demand more proof? And I do believe the people will, because this goes far beyond anything else. And when the facts come out, all this propaganda, all this noise about there's no such thing as election fraud, all this noise and everything they're pushing out there, the fake information is going to completely disintegrate right in front of them. And everyone's going to see them for who they really are. And I'm talking about the deep state. And you can see they're getting a little bit nervous. I feel that they're planning for some type of distraction, because we're getting some dog comms out there. Obama put out, today our family lost a true friend and loyal companion. For more than a decade, Boat was a constant gentle presence in our lives, happy to see us on our good days our bad days, and every day in between. So it seems that Bo passed away, and I think Bo had cancer. So this tells us something very important, that when information starts to come out, do believe they need a distraction. And it's very interesting that Joe and Jill Biden, they just visited former President Jimmy Carter. Why would they do that? They had a whole photo shoot. Yes, people said they looked like little tiny people. Yes, Biden wasn't wearing a mask and neither was Jill. But why would they visit them to say goodbye? Because their time has come and we might see their funeral. Now, it could be anybody else, but I find the timing is very, very interesting. And we know every time these type of dog comms come out, they're preparing and getting ready for a major distraction. Now, Dan Scavino, he put out a tweet on Twitter, and he actually did a shout out to all Anons because he linked to Julian's Rum's video. And Scavino is telling us, stay strong, MAGA. We hear you. We see you. We love you. Letting us know that this is not over. Now, what's very interesting is that we know that this Chinese rocket, well, it's disintegrating and falling to Earth. And the mainstream media, the fake news, and the rest are telling us that we don't know where this thing's going to fall. We don't know. Well, they're getting word that it might fall into the Indian Ocean. But what's very interesting about this, and Mel Q points this out, that on May 8th, and this is in 2020, there's a post, 4,160. It says, we can help guide once you hit a target. It must be open source. Now, does this mean that they're helping to guide this Chinese rocket down to Earth? Was this meant to be a false flag where they were going to use this rocket as some type of missile or something like that? Because Jenna Ellis tweeted out the following: aren't you glad Trump gave us Space Force? Hashtag Chinese rocket. That is very interesting. Yes, could they have used this as a weapon? They could have. And it would have looked like, oh, this was just something that naturally happened. The rocket hit Trump's Mar-a-Lago. The rocket hit someplace in the U.S. The rocket hit something. But they could have used it as a missile. So are the Patriots actually guiding this down and having it fall into the ocean? Maybe. Maybe not. And it seems that Scavino, he put out another video, another message. And when you watch the whole thing, it shows Trump at his rallies, shows Trump on Air Force One. But at the very, very end, Trump is holding something up and it says, never give up. So we have two messages from Scavino. One telling us stay together, follow the plan. Trump telling us never give up. Plus, Trump put out a statement on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. And it says, Happy Mother's Day to all. It will all come back bigger and better and stronger than ever before. Do not worry. I do believe the Patriots are in complete and utter control. This is all part of the plan. It's about waking people up. It's about bringing people to the precipice. Because once you reach the precipice, they demand change. And more people are waking up than ever before. And this is why the first part of his presidency was Make America Great Again. Now we're going to save America. We're going to break the deep state system. We're going to show and expose the system to every single person. They might not believe it, but eventually they will. Because once that system is exposed, once people see how they do it, remember, it's not just going to be, oh, they cheated. They're going to show step by step on how they did this and why they did it and when they did it. And everything that Trump talked about, well, it's all going to come true. And The Constitution is the only way forward, because everything he talked about with the swing states, with all these laws that were being changed, they violated the Constitution. Yes, the Constitution will be the only way forward. The Constitution will allow the military to step in. The government, the civilian government, with Biden and the rest, they will be incapacitated, which means we need a peacekeeper force to be in place until another civilian government is put into place. How is that going to be done? Will they just hand it over to Trump, or will there be another election? Yes, this election, I do believe, will be way before 2024, because I think the people are going to demand it. I think we, the people, are going to say, well, wait a minute, there's election fraud? They cheated? It's either you hand it over to Trump, or people say, you know something? Let's make sure. Let's have another election. This time the military is going to control it. This time we're going to do it on paper ballots. This time it's going to be completely transparent. We're going to do it without the Dominion machines. Remember Andrew Jackson? When the 1828 election came up, he won that election by a landslide. What happens when we have another election and Trump wins by a landslide? It shows that the people never wanted Biden. It shows that the people of America wanted Trump, and they cheated to stay in power. Now, does this mean they're just going to lay down and just take it? I'm talking about the deep state. No. They're going to use every asset, all their ammunition, to shut this down. And I do believe that's when Red 1, Red 2, Red 3 all starts to come into play. Might not be in a quick order, but you'll start to see things happen like communications blackout. And we'll move forward from there. But the Patriots, they're in complete control. Why? Because we, the people, are waking up. We, the people, are going to see it firsthand. We, the people, are going to demand it. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.